So now even GameStop is scalping Pokemon product. What? That's crazy. What's up, guys? My name's TJ. I run a business called PokePaster TCG where I buy and sell a ton of Pokemon cards. And by the way, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I cannot believe that we are so close to 1,000 subscribers. That's crazy, but thank you. It really does mean a lot. If you guys press like, subscribe, do the YouTube things, it does help me. But yeah, thanks for watching. But if you have been living under a rock in the Pokemon community, you don't know this, but Destined Rivals, the big Team Rocket set that everyone's been freaking out about for feels like 6 months now since it was rumored to be a thing. That comes out this week, and it was just announced that GameStop, who has been selling Pokemon cards for a long time, GameStop is going to be selling Destined Rivals significantly above MSRP, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But this is the first time that they've ever done this, and so there's been a lot of discourse, a lot of conversations within the community of the implications. Is this going to mean that everything is going to be above MSRP now? And then you've got within that the kind of the argument between like pure market price versus MSRP and all of that. And so I figured this would be a good time for me to weigh in on some of these things. But before we do that, I should probably give an explanation on what all of this is. What is MSRP? What is market price? And so if you're new, this will be a good way for you to kind of get caught up into how we got here. So in theory, when a new Pokemon product comes out, it should be sold at MSRP, which stands for Manufacturer's Suggested Retail Price. That means that the Pokemon Company or the Pokemon Company International gets to set their suggested price, saying like, hey, here's this product. This is how much we would suggest that you sell it for. This is how much we deem it to be worth. And for a booster box of modern Pokemon cards in the Scarlet and Violet area, it's like $161.64 or something like that. And so in theory, ideally, stores would then sell it at that price. And typically stores get it at a price, at least initially, from distribution that would make it profitable at that price. So that's what MSRP is. Market price, on the other hand, is something different. Market price isn't dictated by Pokemon. Market price is dictated really by secondary markets, but the number that people most generally use when talking about market price comes from TCG Player, which is the site that I sell on. But it's basically an average of all the sales for a specific product. And so market price would be, this is what people are willing to pay for a specific product, regardless of what Pokemon says it should be worth. This is what people are paying for this product. And right now, because there is a pretty big discrepancy between MSRP and market price, this makes things a little weird. So since demand is so high, people are willing to pay much more than the suggested retail price for a set of Pokemon cards. And so when cards are sold at MSRP, that's why you see people lining up at Target, lining up at Walmart to get some of this product, because in a lot of scenarios, people are able to go to these places that are selling for MSRP, get the boxes, put them on eBay, put them on TCG Player, sell them locally, and make a decent amount of margin just doing that, walking into retail stores and buying it. And so that's what we would say, that's what we would call scalping. We would call those people scalpers. And sometimes, margins are relatively slim, but right now, the last I checked, this set that's coming out this week, the booster box, MSRP, is $160, $161, and market price is over $250. So that's like potentially $80, $90 a box if you're able to pick it up at MSRP, which is pretty crazy. So that kind of leads us to the predicament that we're in right now. But really, in terms of talking about solutions for this whole problem, you've really got two schools of thought, and I'll try my best to articulate kind of where both of these people come from. And I know I'm going to be painting a pretty broad brush here, and so this isn't going to everyone isn't going to fit perfectly into these two camps, but I think this pretty much gets the gist of the argument. And so I'm gonna say the two people are, you have your MSRP Andes and you've got your market price Andes. Now, your market price Andes would say that MSRP, the suggested retail price given to us by Pokemon, is just that. It is a suggestion, it is a made up number. Well, it's like the Wolf of Wall Street. It's a woozy, it's a wazi, it's a vapor, it's a mist. Like, it doesn't exist, it's fake. Because the market price Andy would say that the value of any item, regardless of what a company says it is worth, The value of any item is exclusively what people are willing to pay for it. So for instance, the market price Andy would say, philosophically, if I tell you that something is worth $5, but there are thousands of people who are willing to pay $10 for that, it doesn't matter what the manufacturer tells you it's worth $10 because that's what people are willing to pay for it. And so they would say, the market price Andys would say that selling at MSRP is basically the root of the scalping problem. Because demand is so high, because there isn't enough product to go around, selling it so much under what the market deems it worth allows scalpers and people to go around from place to place and to buy things so much under market so that they can turn around and flip it and sell it. Another argument that the market price Andys love to make is that the MSRP people aren't too keen on paying MSRP when the market price is significantly lower than what the retailer's suggested price is. Like back when booster boxes were $90, your market price Andys make the argument that like, hey, none of these MSRP people wanted to buy those booster boxes for $161 when the market was $90. And so you'll hear that argument a lot too from the MSRP Andys. And so they are your pure like capitalist, like let the market go. And they tend to be more on like the business side of the hobby, the people who enjoy Pokemon as a collectible, as a investment, as a they typically associate numbers with individual cards and might be on like the less like pure collector side of the hobby, if that makes sense. MSRP Andys, on the other hand, believe that anytime a new Pokemon set comes out, they believe that everyone should have the ability to buy Pokemon cards for the suggested retail price at MSRP. And so they would say that the stores, retailers, anyone who owns a store, anyone who sells, has a responsibility to sell the product at MSRP to make sure everyone has a chance to get it at a fair price. They also believe that Pokemon has a responsibility to print to demand. Like if demand is crazy high, then Pokemon has a responsibility just to, turn on the printers so that everyone can get as much product as they want, at least initially. Now there's under the like MSRP Andy umbrella, there are some people who would like to see Pokemon cards stay affordable like throughout all of history because they just don't like the idea of collectibles or like pieces of cardboard raising in value. But then there are other ones where it's like, hey, after a certain while, if things go up in value, like, hey, it's inevitable, like it is what it is. But I would say for the most part, the people on the MSRP Andy side of the discussion are going to be people who are less business minded or less value driven. You'll probably find more of your like pure collectors, again, quotations on pure collectors, on the MSRP side of the argument. And they seem to be pretty frustrated or pretty irritated by the fact that there have been people who have came into the hobby and have like brought like the hustle culture, the grind culture, like the bro capitalism type stuff to the hobby. These people really, really get frustrated about that. I think this is a topic that requires nuance. And to be honest, I think nuance is something that we don't do a very good job at. I think oftentimes hey, I'm right. I'm not gonna take a posture of humility. There's zero chance that I could be wrong. Anyone who disagrees with me, like there's no way they could have arrived at that conclusion in like an honest way. They have to be evil. They have to be a horrible person. Like I can't talk to them. I can't like there's none of that, right? And I think that's not good. I'm a pastor. That's a big part of who I am. And so I spend a lot of time, like my career is all dedicated to like telling people about Jesus and helping people be a Christ follower. That said, I have a ton of people in my life who really want nothing to do with Jesus, who want nothing to do with the whole faith thing. And so I can still be friends with these people. I can still love these people. I can still have a bunch of people whom I disagree with in my life. And that has been really, really valuable to me. And so similar like this and all the other topics in the hobby that people love to debate. And don't get me wrong, like I like arguing too. I love a good heated debate. There's no reason to completely demonize people who don't see the world the same way as you. And I think that kind of nuance is required when it comes to this kind of conversation, or really any kind of conversation, any kind of argument where people tend to get a little heated. But in case you are wondering, as for me, I am in the business side of the hobby. Like I am someone where, if we're gonna split it into a dichotomy like that, I am a market price Andy. I do think that cards are worth what cards are worth, and regardless of what Pokemon says or Pokemon Company says things are worth, like whatever someone is willing to pay for something, that's the price that it should be. And so I do wonder, and I don't know if this would be the case, but it does make me wonder, like if there were cards not available at MSRP and everything was at market price, at Target, at Walmart, or at least close to market price, close enough to where people couldn't scalp, would that make things a little different, right? And obviously that comes with its own like set of challenges and problems and things that I'm not a huge fan of, but like, you know, looking at those two options between market price and MSRP, I am someone that tends to believe that like, hey, if stores want to price their product at what the market is, like I'm never going to demonize a store or say that they're horrible for doing that, because like that's what people are willing to pay. So even though that's the camp that I find myself in, I totally understand why someone could be an MSRP Andy, because the dark side of the market price thing is that when a set comes out and Destined Rivals is $250 a booster box, there are just less people, just on basic like amount of income, amount of money that people have. There are less people that are able to enjoy something the higher in price it gets. And so for a new set to come out and someone who wants to like grab a booster box to, you know, rip open with their kids on a Friday night, and now they're priced out of that because demand is so high and there's not enough to go around, like that sucks. Like I don't like that. And so if someone says like, hey, because of that reason, I think everything should just be available at MSRP, so everyone at least gets a fair shot, gets a fair crack at picking up product at that suggested retail price. Like if you find yourself there, like I get it, right? Again, I disagree. Like I am more on the market price side of things, but if you find yourself there, that's where you landed, or that's what a store wants to do, or a store really wants to do a service for their customers by selling at MSRP instead of market price, even though they could sell at market price. Like, hey, that's awesome. Like rock on. Like I think that's fine. It's just this is one of those things where I think that this is where the nuance is required, where hey, it is okay to disagree with people. It's okay that I have a different opinion than you have. And then, you know, we can discuss and we can, you know, try to reach a solution at some point. But I do understand why someone could end up as an MSRP Andy. Bringing it back full circle, this is a long detour. Do I think it's a big deal that GameStop is deciding to sell their products at closer to market price, which I don't even think it's going to be that close to market price, but that it's significantly above MSRP? I don't. I think GameStop's a company. I think they can do whatever they want. If this sets a precedent and other companies, other big companies, big retailers see that GameStop is able to get away with this, and other big companies start doing this as well, that's just kind of what it is. Maybe that communicates to Pokemon that they need to print more, that demand is so high that they need to increase the supply side of things. That could be, you know, an outcome of this, but I don't think it's the end of the world. The like harsh reality of where we are right now is the demand for these products significantly outweigh the supply that is around. And that's why we end up in a situation where people are willing to pay significantly higher than this suggested retail price for a box of Pokemon cards. And so no, I don't think it's a huge deal that GameStop is doing this. You know, they're their own store. They can do whatever they want. Again, if with all of these things, like if you have a different take, I understand, I get it, and that's okay. But I do think at some point, like this hype will die down. Like at some point, prices will go back to being around MSRP, maybe even under MSRP, and this will be less of a conversation. But I don't see that happening like anytime soon. And until that happens, or until Pokemon prints to demand or finds a way to print more cards, or until, yeah, like I said, demand goes away, I don't see this MSRP market price, like scalping, all this. I don't see this conversation going away anytime soon. But I'd love to know what you think. Are you a market price Andy? Are you an MSRP Andy? And again, in the comments, like don't turn this into a bloodbath, okay? The whole point of this is that it's okay to disagree. Some of this does require nuance, but I would love to know, how would you interact, or what is your take on this crazy market and this situation? But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. So close to 1,000 subscribers, so thank you for that. As always, Jesus loves you. I believe that he has an incredible plan for your life. I hope that you know that. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.